Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lennie, and if you've been following me here for a while, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing some baking. The previous videos have been all about my beekeeping journey, but today I fancied just mixing it up a little bit and sharing a really lovely recipe with you that is gluten-free and is also dairy-free, actually, also dairy-free. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. You're going to see from me lots of videos about us living here in our heritage Queenslander, living life, slow living, good living, content living, interiors, exteriors, acreage, and also my beekeeping journey. So let's get cracking. So I wouldn't consider myself to be a brilliant baker, although this recipe, which is for banana bread, which is quite an Aussie staple, doesn't take any real repertoire, cake making repertoire at all. It is really simple to make. It is gluten-free, it is also dairy-free. I hadn't recognised that until I started putting this together, but it is. And since I discovered my autoimmune condition a few years back now, I tend to be on the lookout for recipes that are obviously gluten-free, because gluten-free or gluten isn't good for autoimmune. And since the start of the year, I've had a focus on reducing my sugar intake. And when I say sugar, specifically, I'm talking about chocolate. I'm a chocoholic. I was looking at the smaller places where during the day I may have been snacking on something that had processed sugar in it. And yeah, so if I can find a way to get that sugary, that nice sugary taste and it not be processed, and enjoy food, because I absolutely love my food, then this recipe is that. I first found this recipe over a year ago, and I can't remember where I found it. It's somewhere online, and I've adapted it since then. If I find out where I got it from, I'll tag it below. And it came because in our garden we have banana trees. And even though we're not going to use the bananas from our acreage today because they're not quite ready, last year we chopped down a whole, I don't know, what do they call them, a whole branch full of bananas, and there were probably 30 odd individual bananas on there. And of course you can't eat 30 all at once. I set to work finding recipes that I could use and reuse and use these bananas up. With this recipe, bananas really need to be quite ripe. You can also freeze your bananas. So if you've got them really ripe at home and you get to the end of the week and you're not using them, just sling them in the freezer, because this recipe likes frozen bananas and definitely well ripened bananas. So I've got a few here, I've got 3. That have come straight out of the freezer, and as you see, they're quite brown. The freezing process makes them brown, and they're quite mushy inside. But this recipe loves that. Definitely have ripe bananas. They taste much better. It's great for this recipe. You want to actually taste a banana bread that tastes a banana, in my opinion. So with this recipe, I have, let's say, the bananas. I have olive oil, we have agave syrup, you can also use maple syrup, and probably honey as well, not that I've tried honey. And then I have some tahini and some cinnamon and coconut sugar. We have bicarb soda and baking powder. We also have sesame seeds to sprinkle on the top. I've also got some dark choc chips. You don't need those, that's an optional, but I like to put choc chips in there. The recipe, the traditional recipe, the original says self-raising flour, but in order to have this gluten-free, I've got 50-50 of buckwheat flour and some gluten-free self-raising flour. Last time I did this recipe, I did it with the self-raising gluten-free and almond flour, and added a little bit of almond milk as well, which is in the recipe. And it came out, it tasted good, but it came out a little bit mushy. So this is gonna be a bit of a test as to how well these two flours perform. If you're not gluten-free, feel free to use the self-raising flour. It is so soft and a cross between cakey and bready when it comes out, and it fills the whole kitchen with the most gorgeous smell. Yeah, it's amazing. This recipe is about putting the wet ingredients together first and then adding the dry ingredients. I have my KitchenAid here, which I'm going to use for this. It really is as simple as putting all of the all of the ingredients in and whizzing it up so it's nice and well mixed. I'm going to use a sieve to sieve this flour through to get some more air into the bake, and I have pre-lined a loaf tin with some sustainable brown paper or decompostable brown paper. So let's start by unmushing these bananas and just putting those in there. The recipe is in the description below for you to follow. And it doesn't matter if you get a little bit of the water, which is the defrosting. The freezing process creates water, and as they defrost, the bananas defrost, it creates quite a lot of water. And I think for this reason, I'm not going to put in the almond milk this time because it's quite wet. Next into that, I'm going to put the tahini. I'm just going to use my fingers. As I say, there's nothing fancy about this recipe. Yeah, so since being a bit more conscious about the environment and plastics, etc., I've stopped using those silicone palette knifey things, spatulas, and so I'll just either use my fingers now or a spoon. So now in with the agave syrup, and that's all of the wet ingredients. So we're going to give that a whiz. And you want to mix that so you still get some little lumps of pieces of banana, so it's not completely smooth. I think that will do. And now I'm going to add the coconut sugar and the bicarb of soda and the baking powder. I'm going to give that a little blast, and then I'm going to just take the paddle off of the machine, push some pieces of banana off of there, and then what I'm going to do is take the sieve and just sieve in these flours. First the buckwheat. While we're doing that, the oven I lit to 180°C. So that's getting nice and warm behind me. It's going in nicely, air in there. And then I'm going to go in with the gluten-free self-raising. I'll do the same. I generally don't weigh all my ingredients out first, particularly with this recipe, because it's a matter of just putting everything together and there's no real technique involved. I'll just scoop everything into the bowl, each of the measurements. So that's the flour. I'm going to stick that back on the machine. If you don't have a KitchenAid, I would highly recommend them. They really just speed things up. There really is no effort. And things, no matter what you prepare when you're baking, the preparation part always comes out really well. Just going to grab a spatula, wooden spatula, and I'm going to give that a whirl now and start it slowly. And the same way, if you can find organic bananas, they're always good to use as well. Now with this, you want a consistency that dollops nicely off the spatula and pours nicely into the tin. So if you find that that's not the case, then feel free to pop in some non-dairy milk. As I say, I use almond milk, but this is actually looking really good. Now it needs just a little bit of a stir to get some of that flour off the side. Now it is a little bit sticky, so I'm going to add a touch of our almond milk that we have in our coffee in the mornings, just to loosen that back up a little bit. The recipe says 125 mils, which I think is probably a quarter of a cup, but I just like to go with my eye and with the feel of things. So yeah, so we've got this consistency that it falls off the spatula quite easily, but not so well that it flies off. Cool. So then I'm going to take the baking tin, the loaf tin, and I'm just going to pour this into there. Now you can, if you want to add them, the chocolate chips in all of the mixture before putting in, but I'm just going to take the last bit of mixture and put the chocolate chips in there. I'm always looking out for definitely gluten-free recipes. And I know with some autoimmune conditions and with, some people have quite a few issues with not just gluten, but also dairy. Luckily, thankfully, I'm not quite there. And so I can tolerate dairy fairly easily. But I am always looking for great recipes that are as easy as this one. If you have any recipes, post them down below, because I would love to use them. And if you've got an alternative for banana bread that's gluten-free or can have a gluten-free option, let me know. Let's share our recipes. Probably just a little bit thick. I would like it to be a little bit not quite so dense. I'm making a bit of a dog's dinner of this, but I'm sure it will taste fine. I've got it everywhere. So to finish it off, I take some more agave and I just sprinkle it over the top, and also take some sesame seeds and sprinkle these all over the top as well. I love toasted sesame seeds, and this works particularly well with the banana bread. So you get that little bit of a nutty taste as well. So we have that, and I'm going to go and stick it in the oven. So I put that in the oven for half an hour at 180, fan assisted. But I check it at about 25 minutes just to see how it's going. Poke a little skewer in it, pull it out. If the skewer still got some of this like wet mixture on, then I'll put it in for another 5 minutes and then check it again. There's been a few times where I've done this, depending on the what's in the mixture. Some flours, etc., can take a bit longer than others, and so the cooking time can vary. But as I guess, so let's just say 30 minutes, and then check it then, and then go from there. It's nice and springy. It smells absolutely delicious. I can't wait to have a taste, maybe with a cup of tea. But for now, we just need to leave it to cool down. What do you think, Sals? What do you think? Delicious. That dark coconut sugar makes it almost like caramelized, and the chopped chips, and it's really crispy on the outside and super soft in the middle. Perfect afternoon tea, or sitting in front of your favourite TV show, a cup of tea and some banana bread. Let me know below if you try the recipe, and I'll see you next time.